Alright everybody, going to be working through some jobs here on the SL. So this is a 1994. This is definitely one of the ones that has a bad wiring harness. So let me show you what I got. Here's some of the parts. So I'll show the engine in a minute, but I'm going to kind of do a tune-up. So I got 3 new ignition coils here. So these are not Mercedes branded ones, but just because you can save a lot of money. Here we go. I just got the Bosch part number for the Mercedes part. So it's exactly the same, it just doesn't have the Mercedes part and the star on it. It's only 50 bucks compared to 150 or 160. So I got 3 of those. Got spark plugs. So we'll see how bad they are or good they are, or if they're oily. Got new spark plug wiring here, so just going to change that out while we're here, and yep, here you go. See how things are. And yeah, the big one is over here. So I still have it in the box and everything, but basically this is the full engine wiring harness. And so this one was rebuilt, and I'll show you a trick on that one soon. Gonna just kind of get ready. And then the last thing I got is got a rebuilt throttle body from ProgRama. And then there's like the intake stack that goes on top of it. So, yep. For these, any of the ones that have the bad wiring harness, the wiring in here can go bad too. So that's why I got a rebuilt one. Yeah, here's the car right now. So it's kind of running a little bit rough. The engine's moving a little bit. I think it's misfiring. So the coils and probably the wiring here are messed up. So we'll see about that. I'm sure they're all original. Just got the negative disconnected here. Gonna start with the spark plugs. So to get those, first thing you got to do is get these 2 bolts right here on the intake. So you get those 10 millimeters. Then you can go under here, pretty much like through here, but you'll see there's a little screw right here. Get that one, and just take off one of these here, and then that thing will come right off. And at that point, we got these 5 millimeter bolts that we can get to. So there should be 6 of those. Then you can get under the spark plugs, check them out. I'll take the coils off, we'll see what we have. Alright, got the air intake off, and then here, these 5 mils, I just got them all loosened up. And yeah, just like when you're taking bolts off, like these are the studs that the air intake was bolted down to. I just put the nuts right back onto that wherever I'm working, just so that you don't forget what they went to. I mean, you can use like a magnetic tray or whatever if you wanted to hold them too, but for me it's just there's too many. And then I just take it out with the bolts in it. So here, there you can see I got some probably original ignition coils. So I'll just get these out. I got the car battery unplugged, so yeah, I'll just start getting this stuff removed, and we'll take a look at the spark plugs. Yeah, so you use the pick tool to get the little clip off there, but pull this off the ignition coils. This is part of the engine wiring harness here. And so when you do the valve cover gaskets, like I did on that old 300E I had, when you have to go and take this valve cover off, you have to move this out of the way. And that's immediately where, like one of these wires or whatever, I moved this out of the way, and I just heard the snap. And I'm sure as I'm going through this and removing the wiring harness, I'll be able to see this insulation here just start to disintegrate. It's definitely the original. Yeah, see, if you were actually just trying to do this without, I wouldn't even try to do this unless you're going to replace the wiring harness. I wouldn't try to do a valve cover gasket. And usually under here, there's like a little pillow tag that you can go and look for. You can also check the part number. But yeah, my replacement part number is the same. I just actually have, there's a tag on it that says it got rebuilt 2009, I think. So yeah, so the rest of this is pretty easy. Just removing, here's the coil. And then it's kind of cool, I think they're numbered. So there's number 6, number 5. So I'm gonna label the spark plugs as I take them out too, to see just if any are having oil. I mean, I can already kind of see some oil down there. It's oily at the end of here too, so that might mean the valve covers might have to do that sometime soon. Just put this down here. Yep, here's the and actually too, one thing, if you're not sure how it goes, that's kind of cool. You can look at the top of the spark plug cover, and it will show it shows the routing. So I have it upside down. It shows the routing of which pair of wires connect to which coil, and so yeah, the ones that are square are the coils, like number 6 you just saw, and then that one goes to the plug to number 1, so that's going to be the longest cord. So that's pretty much how you do it when you go put it back on. You don't have to mark it or memorize it or anything. It's really easy. They make it really easy for you. All right, little change of plans. Let's see if I can capture it here. But basically, I pulled these plugs out, and well, I pulled out the ignition coils, and then just the this one's dry. I haven't pulled the plugs yet. But as I took out the boots here, they're just soaked, and I mean, it was dripping oil everywhere. So yeah, you can see that there's the rag. I was wiping it all up. So yeah, I'm gonna do the valve cover gaskets. I got the parts for under each of the bolts, the 10 millimeters here. And then yeah, the valve cover gasket itself, it has the rings for each cylinder, and then there's 2 half moon pieces in the back here. So I'm gonna go ahead and just do it right, because I don't want to do this again. As far as taking off this harness and all that stuff, because this one's brittle already. So I mean, if I break this one, I don't care, because I'm already going to replace it. But once it's there, I don't want to touch it for a little while. So yeah, you can see this is not the insulation, but just some of the stuff doesn't look so good. It's very stiff too. So that's going to be really fun to remove. Some of it just gotta, yeah, so like under here, important part, I think last time I did a engine wiring harness, I didn't plug in all of the fuel injectors, the wiring that goes to those. So gotta remember to do that this time. There's one for each cylinder. Yeah, there's some stuff that goes to the front for the wiring harness. But yeah, I'll do the valve cover gasket first. Let's just get that sorted. I'm sure that those rubber bits under here are probably just turned into plastic. Got all the valve cover bolts loosened, and definitely when I put this back on, I'm going to be extra careful. At least these all thread really nicely. And the last one, if you've seen any of the videos I have, basically the ones over here, I think they all got stripped, and so I had to put helicoils on there. And then I think it was exactly this one broke off inside the head, and so then I had to drill it out and all that shit. And it was, maybe it was this one. Yeah, I spent a lot of time just looking at that one. Anyways, I am going to get these ones zinc coated, but since I wasn't planning for this, I wasn't ready to do that yet. I'll have to send them out to somebody. I have an extra set though, so maybe I'll just start shopping that out. But basically, they have a couple places for you to fit a screwdriver under. So I don't know if this is a big enough screwdriver. Yeah, so you just kind of go under here. You can hear that? Same over here, just kind of go at an angle. There we go. I just left the bolts in there, so it should lift right out. I'll try to do it on camera. I'm definitely not a real YouTuber. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be a pain in the ass to get everything loose there, so just give me a minute here. Alright, yeah, I got it loose here, so let's see. If I go and pull this up. Look how clean that is. That is awesome. So, okay. I'll just set this down somewhere. Somewhere that I can wipe up. Okay. Yeah, that looks amazing. Look at that timing chain too. It's just, usually you'd see some problems there, but yeah, like it's like, usually it'd be like orange or brown, like it's caked in. So whoever did this got their oil changes on a regular basis, is what I'm guessing. This looks nice and clean. I'll have to clean up this mating surface. I did pull another valve cover. I'm not exactly sure if it's the same or what, but at some point, this is made of magnesium. I'll have to get it, I don't have to, but I'm gonna get it powder coated. Same with the spark plug cover that goes on top of it. So, yeah, hopefully the one I have is an exact match, and then I'll find out if I can just, you know, do one and then swap it. So, I got it from a 320, an E320, 1994 at the junkyard. But yeah, if you look close, you could see right here around the cylinders, there's oil on the surface here. So definitely it's, the plastic has been blown and it's leaking into the cylinders. Well, the first one was fine, I guess. But definitely some of these other ones, there's oil that's gonna go in there. And while you got it open like this, you gotta be real careful about what you're doing. So I'm gonna go grab the other one, put it on top of here just to keep it safe. And then, you know, especially even with the spark plugs, you don't want anything to fall in there, because anything that falls in there is gonna fall into the cylinder. So don't want that to happen. Be extra careful. I'm working in my garage, so pretty safe in here. There's the junkyard valve cover. I just popped it on there. Here's the one I just took off. And yeah, this is definitely not in the best shape. So yeah, number one was not leaking so much. The other ones, yeah, this is hard. So get this sorted, and then basically under there's baffles under here. So you know, so the oil doesn't slosh around or whatever. And basically, you're supposed to reseal this with RTV, you know, if you do a full clean out of this. So right now I'm gonna not do that. I'm just gonna replace just the actual, and the outside of it was holding up great. This doesn't have any leaks on the outside. Yeah, and there's those two half moon pieces. Said to use a pick to get at them and get them out, but these ones are pretty, they're not that bad. They're not as bad as the last car, but they're a little bit hard. Not as soft as new ones. So here's the set of the new parts. So I got those two breathers that go on top. One of these for each of the bolts. And then yeah, there's one for each cylinder. The main one, half moon, half moon. So I'm just gonna get this a little bit more cleaned up and probably just go ahead and put it on. Here's the new valve cover. So got that on, got it on here. I just used a little bit of Scotch-Brite around the edges here. I did not take the baffling off and clean that and reseal it. There was definitely a lot of RTV around here. I don't know if that caused it to not get a good seal on the old one. It was like all around the edges. Or if it was somebody trying to fix it without replacing the gasket, I don't know. But yeah, I just cleaned the mating surface up here really good. Got it nice and clean, oil free, where it's gonna mate. And I put one of the half moons back there. I'll just kind of show how that looks like. So here, and it's a little bit tight quarters, but you kind of just drop it in here. and then that goes right behind the cam basically. So and then you can kind of see like there's like a print that the valve cover leaves. So I mean, I did wipe it pretty good, and so that's kind of staying on there. I just kind of lightly touched it with some Scotch-Brite. Just want to make sure it's going to seal real good. But yeah, you can see there's a little bit of RTV still back here. Yeah, I might have to go over this particular one again. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and drop on the valve cover, and then I can get back to the spark plugs and coils. Put the valve cover back on. Now I'm just getting these each individual bolt just cleaned up, and then this is what I'm putting on. There's the part number. So for this engine you need 12 of them, and one for each bolt. Basically this is the rubber that goes under. There you go. So you got your bolt, and then that just kind of helps it get a good seal. And there's actually, come on, focus. There's like a little part that goes down, so that goes right in there. So I'm just doing it one by one. So back over here. And then pretty much, you know, see it's still loose. I need to get the shop manual out and just figure out the bolt down order. But as long as you take your time and make sure everything's lined up and just go slow, you know, do the right bolt order. I've never had to use RTV. Here's the shop manual. I have the physical shop manual for the 104. It's a little bit useless. So here, I mean, mine's different. I don't have the CISE system, so I don't think they made a printed version after this. But it doesn't really have the order that you put them down on, but I looked online and a lot of people are just saying do it progressively, just, you know, so do it by hand, and then I'm just going to use a 1/4 inch ratchet and just do it real nice and light. So I just did it by hand first, and I just did it in a crisscross pattern, so starting with the corners, opposite corner, and so then I just used the driver portion like this to put it on there, get it just hand tight, and then as I'm doing it, I'm just making sure that it's nice and, you know, it's not everything lines up good. And so now it's still, the rubber is still nice and soft, including, you know, replacing it on here. It matters a lot too. So now that it's like this, I'm going to actually use the ratchet, put the camera down, and then do it by hand. So I had a spark plug break on me. Basically the boot that's inside of these, it fell out. I don't know where it went. But yeah, turning this broke, and so I got the pieces out first. Got this out with the magnet. And then now I just got the boroscope, and I'm just kind of going through to make sure that I didn't drop anything in here. And so yeah, so I'm just gonna keep looking. Alright, so day 2, I'm gonna go after the throttle body. So I finished the spark plugs. I didn't put the coils or anything like that on. I figured might as well do the electrical like stuff, like the wiring harness and the throttle body. So basically I just took this boot off of here. So that's on there. There's a hose clamp that you can get to under here. And then the second one, what I did is I got like a short screwdriver, and I went this way, and it's at the bottom, and you got to get this off, and then I just kind of rocked it back and forth until it came out. I thought it was going to break it, so I actually bought another one because that rubber's pretty brittle. So yeah, I've already transferred the clamps over. And then once you get that, oh yeah, I took off this part right here too. So that's pretty easy. There's 4 or 5 millimeters, and and you get that up, and then this is like your I don't know, the intake valve. So yeah, I got that out of the way just to make it a little bit easier. And there's just one plug that goes to that. But then here on the actual throttle body, there's 4 or 5 millimeter bolts. So I'm going to get that. The plug is right here. So this guy right here, you can well, you can see I'll get it off the camera. There are yeah, you can see the top one right above it. There's a 10 millimeter bolt here. There's one below it too. They hold it onto that rail. And then getting into the throttle assembly, there's a couple linkages that you got to pop off. You can see one of them right there in the pic. You can see part of it, the other side of it. So there's another side over here on the other side with the ball, and then there's actually a spring right here that I'll take off. That's going to return it back to the position it's supposed to be after you, yeah, so basically if I move the throttle assembly, it returns it back to that position because it's putting spring force on it. Alright, so time to get this one. I don't think it'll be that bad. So there's you can see the stud sticking out. There's the two 10 millimeter bolts, or the nuts I just took off. So got that wiring harness free. Let's see, where's the other side of that? Yeah, here we go. There's the part that plugs into. So, all right. Yeah, I've taken off the throttle linkage over here. Here we go. And then I took off the spring, so then it just comes right out here. So I don't know if we'll be able to do it on camera. I'll give it a shot. One-handed. And basically you can definitely pull the wiring harness through first. Okay. That might make it a little easier. Oh yeah, there's like a vacuum connector on here too. Okay, pull that off. There it goes. Let's see if that's it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, and then that's it. Great, so I got my new one. I'll go ahead and just plug it in. Probably clean up the surface real quick here while I got access and everything. It's always good to clean the parts, I think. Get that going. Okay, there's the new throttle body installed. So just got that carefully snapped back together over there. Reconnected the vacuum line. Yep, it's in there good. Okay, over here I got the spring back on there. Reconnected the throttle assembly, so let me try. I'm gonna get my hand here. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm just gonna put the boot on there. This is the new one. It's all they got lubricant on or whatever, but this part is got this whatever circle or whatever that goes, at least when I had it, it was like this, so it's facing towards the car where you sit. And so if you look at the bottom, there's those pieces, those flaps, they cover the bolts. That's why you have to take this off. So just gonna put this back on there, tighten it up, then gonna go onto the wiring harness. And so the trick I learned with the wiring harness, I got it there in that USPS box. So basically what you do is you just lay it out on top of the engine, on top of where all of the stuff is already. You take off panels where you need to so you can get access to everything, but just lay it on top of there and then just switch it one connector at a time. So that way you can take your time to route the cable through how the other one was. And then basically you just swap them one at a time. You don't have to remember where does it go or anything like that. So basically I'm going to get this together and I'll start laying the wiring harness out. Here's the start of the harness. So what I did is I got the new one on top, old one underneath, and I started with the fuel injectors. You got to start somewhere. So in my case, the hardware for the fuel injectors, like the clips, they didn't come with the clips on it. So I just swapped those out first, and then I just did all 6 at the same time. So I took all of them off, swapped the clips, put them back on one at a time, and that's where I'm starting. When you look at over here, basically, yeah, you can see here's my, it has the date on it. So what does it say? 2007 is what my harness is from, by Delphi. So, yeah, so there's definitely no tag on my existing one. This one goes through this false firewall. So I'm going to have to go and unbolt this, I think, to get it through. And lift this out so that I can route the wires through here. So that's going to be probably the trickiest part. The rest of it's pretty easy. So now that I got the fuel injectors, I'm going to go to the front. I'm going to go ahead and just do like this part first. Swap these over. Some of these don't go to the front here. Yeah, so yep, so these ones do the front ones, and see there is some routing that goes behind this little bracket. And just take your time. When I did it last time, I think I even took the bracket or loosened it just so I can, wiggle it through here without trying to crack a wire. So even if your harness is bad, the old one that you're taking off, you can always have it rebuilt. So I wouldn't throw it out personally. And all right, so I'm just going to start switching these up. So there's one here. There's one right here. One right here. And then going over to this side, there's the part for the coolant. I think it's a coolant temperature sensor. This part goes right under the throttle body connection. It's hard to see down here. All right, I'm at the last part of the harness. So there are 2 8mm bolts. There's one on this side. There's like this false firewall. And there's one 8mm on the other side there too. And so once those are loose, you can lift this up. And since there's something routed through there and I don't want to take it out, I'm just going to kind of leave it like this. And then that way I can get over here. And then basically I just have to route these last 2 wires through this connector right over here. So there's the old ones. I'm just going to go ahead and take those out. Okay, yeah, it's a little interesting over here. Okay. All right, and then there's just this part here, and that's it. Okay, got that routed. Put the false firewall back on there. Got those bolts back on. So yeah, I even was able to save this plastic clip. Didn't break it, so that's great. Now it's pretty much time to start putting it back together. So I'm gonna put the veneers back on. Then I'm gonna get to the coils. Here's something that probably a lot of people already know, but when you're trying to tighten something like this and you can't reach it, what you could do is just wrap your wrench around it, and then that kind of gives you some leverage here so you can turn it. And that's something I just picked up from somebody showed me at the junkyard. I mean, it seems obvious now, but I didn't really think about that, so it's pretty cool. So here's the last part. I got the coils. So 6 goes to 1, and then there's just these nice little routing pieces that you can kind of put down here. There's the other ones. I'm just putting some dielectric grease, and you know, I basically just put it around the just the ends, you know, and I think it's supposed to just keep grease, keep crap out of there. So you're not supposed to put it on the actual connector. So got it around there, got a good amount. Anyways, just going to put the rest of this together and then we'll give it a start. Okay, here it is, enough that I'm going to test it. So I got the coil packs in there, got the cabling, ran it as nice as I could. I have to find the actual plastic pieces that are on the old ones that tuck it in nice and neat. But yeah, pretty good. So I just put the airbox back on there. It's not tightened or anything. Like, I'm not going to drive this, but it's ready to start it and see if the car starts. I think everything's connected, so I guess we'll see. So I just got to go into the back where the battery is. I just put a glove over it. All right. I'll tighten it just enough so I know it's connected. Okay. All right. Yep. There's the lights on inside. So let's give it a crank. Now this car before started on the first crank. Like as soon as you turn it, it is turned on. So let's see how good it is now. Okay. No check engine. That's good. See if the engine is shaking at all or anything like that. Oops, some oil. So that smoke is from the oil. I took the spark plugs off. All the oil that was in the galley or whatever it's called went into the cylinder, so it's just burning that off. Alright, well, I'm going to call it a success and put it all back together. So that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in, watching it. I'm not that good with YouTube or making videos, but I wanted to share as much as I can. I know it's cool to see these jobs get done, and there's a lot of people on forums that like to check it out. So thanks for watching. I'll have more coming up.